right, week 4.
We should probably start with the Monday Night Football recap, correct?
Yeah, that's probably a good start.
You have your overreaction. I think my biggest overreaction is now that Josh Allen actually takes care of the football, he's the best quarterback in the entire NFL.
I mean, that's not a crazy thing to say. I think he impacts winning at the highest level out of anybody else in the NFL at this point.
I think he's also playing. I think out of every player in the NFL who has stepped on the football field this year, I feel like he's playing at the highest level of anybody.
100%.
Now that he's limiting turnovers in his repertoire, it makes him unstoppable. And
yeah, the Joe Brady switch up really helped, I think.
It did, but even last year when they switched up with Joe Brady, he was still getting unnecessary turnovers, it felt like. He's really cleaned up his game. And I mean, the Bills, as of right now, definitely have been the most complete football team. Like, I don't think any team so far this season, you are like happy with like a performance that they've had. Even if they're undefeated, there has been flaws. For the Bills, they have come out and have like dominated on defense, dominated on offense, and Josh Allen looks like the league MVP and the best player in football right now.
Yeah, I mean, that week 1 game against the Cardinals, I mean, give it up to the Cardinals. That was probably the toughest game that the Bills have had this season. But other than that, they've just been dominant on both sides. And I think you're right. I think Josh Allen's playing at an MVP level. I think he was my pick to win the MVP at the beginning of this season. On the flip side, the Jags are cooked. I have 2 teams on this list that I'm no longer on board with, that I will no longer bet on, that I don't even want to talk about until they make a change, and it's the Jags and the Browns. The Jags need to figure something out from a coaching perspective, and the Browns need to switch their quarterback. Because both of those teams, I think, have talent on both sides of the ball, but they're not going to go in the direction they want to go until they make a change.
Yeah, I mean, Jags have been probably the biggest disappointment so far this season. I think they should have gotten fired after last game. They just you can't no-show in a game like that. And then obviously the easiest thing to do was throw Trevor Lawrence under the bus, talking about his turnovers. But when you look at his turnovers, it's kind of like, it's like Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. There's a lot of guys that have a ton of turnovers. What really sticks out to me, and I texted it to you during the game, is just like when he overthrew that pass, that really bad one that was highlighted
to Damar Hamlin.
It was a play action to his left side. His body was then had to be flipped and set his feet and then throw a ball. There were multiple times that I texted you why were they doing a play action to his weak side and then coming back around for him to have to reset his feet and turn his entire, it was bizarre. I don't think I've ever seen that quarterbacks do that. I mean, have you? I might be reaching, but I don't think I've noticed that before.
No, it's been a while. That felt like something that like early Peyton Manning and early Tom Brady, those types of guys were doing, but I don't think you see it that much in today's NFL. But like the overarching story is like, they're just not making it easier on him and he's just not playing well.
No, he's not at all.
Another thing too, is that you pointed out, which I didn't even realize, was the amount of drops that they have.
Yeah. Since 2021, they have led the entire NFL in drops.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's not even like it's from bad player. Like they have like good players on offense. It's not like it's the Chiefs that had all these drops and they were fucking throwing out Valdez Scantling and
don't say it. Don't say Kadarius Toney.
Sorry.
He has all the rules.
Sorry, I won't say it. But yeah, the Jags are putting out like much higher quality players on offense than those guys.
You would think, and something that stuck out to me like right away is like why did they just like not use Christian Kirk in any way, shape, or form? It's very bizarre. Um, there
He
are
finally
line,
had a good game.
yeah, he did, but I mean they were getting blown out, so I don't really take that into
Yeah.
account much. I would like to see him get used in parts of the game when it's meaningful.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just it's a very interesting week for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think Doug Peterson should have been fired after the game. At the bare minimum, press Taylor. There absolutely needs to be a change made. It is not at the quarterback position. I don't know. I don't get the rhetoric around that personally. They just signed him to a massive contract. That's going to be something that needs to get figured out. Is Trevor Lawrence playing for this organization? And it's not like for some reason now it's just like whenever a quarterback plays poorly, it's just like you got to bench him. Like we've seen Trevor Lawrence come back
at a high level,
and I said this a few weeks ago. Trevor Lawrence has been in the league for 4 seasons. How long has Kirk Cousins been in the league? How long has Dak Prescott been in the league? 10 years plus. He has the same amount of playoff wins as both of those quarterbacks. So I think that like the expectation of like everybody has to be Mahomes is like just unrealistic. That's going to be something that they need to get figured out. And I think that will get figured out.
Yeah, especially after you pay a guy like that. He is definitely not the guy that you're going to be moving on from. It's not like he's a rookie on a rookie deal. You just went out there, you gave him all this money. You have tools around him. They need to figure out this coaching staff. And until they make a change, we will continue to see this team struggle. We will continue to probably see Trevor Lawrence struggle. And it's just going to be disappointing football out of the Jags until then. They literally got their shit stepped in on Monday night.
For sure.
Josh Allen could have not even played that second half.
Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. But ultimately, when your offense no shows, asking your defense to pretty much carry the weight of the world is unrealistic. And we watched that play out on Monday night.
I have one other question. I saw a quote. I might have gotten fooled on X, but I saw a quote that was like, "It's a lot easier when guys don't care about stats." Josh Allen, did he say that for real?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure, and I wanted to. I didn't look into it, but I figured you would have seen it as well.
Yeah, he said it in the press conference.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's spot on. You've got 4 guys at receiver and a guy at running back that just want to win, and you're seeing Josh Allen elevate to the level, elevate everybody around him, and like we said, playing at an MVP level. So
on the flip side of things, the Commanders-Bengals, completely wrong about this game. I thought it would be ugly. This was an absolute offensive shootout. Both these defenses are really, really bad. The Bengals gave up 38 points. The Commanders gave up 33 points. Neither team punted. It was just really an offensive shootout. Jaden Daniels, I'm not going to listen. I saw a lot of people overreact to it. I'm not going to overreact to what we saw from Jaden Daniels. What we saw the first, like everybody was like, oh my God, like Terry McLaurin, blah, blah, blah. Terry McLaurin through the first 3 weeks had 4 targets for 2 receptions and 17 yards, and then 8 targets for 6 receptions for 22 yards. He hit him on 2 beautiful deep balls, but that's what we knew about Jaden Daniels when he was coming out of LSU, is that he can throw the ball really far and he's creative on his feet. And I thought we saw him do both of those things against the Bengals, but ultimately the Bengals now fall to 0-3. I said it before the season started. I didn't think that this defense was going to be good at all. I didn't think that this would be a good football team, and their defense looks absolutely atrocious. And I'm like, Sprack texted me, was like, I told you the Commanders would be frisky. It's like, okay, well, the Bengals are also 0-3, and the Commanders gave up 33 points as well on defense. So
yeah,
it's just a lot to ask. Again, if your defense isn't playing well, I mean, I don't think either of these teams are really good, is what I'm getting at right now.
Yeah, I don't want to overreact either. Jaden Daniels made some really great throws, had some great plays. It was fun to watch him play.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just pretty much the Bengals are in trouble. You did call it. I thought they were going to be better than this. I thought Joe Burrow was going to look better. I mean, Jamar Chase had a good game, but I mean, ultimately, you can't win a game if you're going to give up 38 points, let alone to a rookie quarterback. That's not really a good sign moving forward.
It was bad.
But yeah, it was bad. It was
yeah.
really bad. I took Bills, Bengals on Monday night, and I even said on this pod before like I got off, I was like, are we sure that one of these teams isn't going to get upset tonight? And I was talked out of it, and here we are.
Well, I mean, ultimately,
it made perfect sense.
There's still a respect for the Bengals through 3 weeks at this point, and it was really hard to believe that they were going to start off this season 0-3, but they have, and that's really what it came down to that other night was. Do you really think that the Bengals are going to start 0-3? Nah, like we still have respect for them. T. Higgins is back. They still have Jamar Chase, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
But I mean, ultimately, that defense just isn't good in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, just something to keep in mind for everyone. Commanders have beaten a bad Bengals team and a bad Giants team.
Correct.
So everybody that's going to overreact about Jaden Daniels, he had a great game. It was fun to watch, but I think that that's going to happen with rookie quarterbacks moving forward because of just how like the talent level overall is rising, I think. So yeah, I think you're still going to see a game like this here and there from a rookie quarterback.
It was just so funny that like the first 2 weeks, like McLaurin was like low key in hell. And then like after he hit ripped 2 deep balls to him, everybody's like McLaurin is back, like blah, blah, blah. It's just like,
yeah.
Listen, those were 2 great deep ball throws, like no doubt, but like I would be shocked if he got another deep ball tutty like that the rest of the season. Let alone
the one thing that the one thing that I was surprised by is the fact that the Bengals run defense like was actually decent. Like Jaden Daniels was their leading rusher with 12 carries. Brian Robinson had 16 carries for 33 yards, but like I would say that's a pretty decent day as a defense from a run perspective, but they couldn't cover a middle school flag football team out there.
They couldn't. All right. Well, Monday night, I feel like we covered that pretty well. Unless if you have anything else that you want to throw in.
No. Good to go.
So for the Thursday night preview, first things first, Cowboys versus Giants. Cowboys at Giants. They're 5.5 point favorites, and the over-under is 44.5. The Cowboys are 5.5 point favorites. First thing that I'm going to say, Danny Dimes 1-12 in primetime, and then 1-6 against Cowboys all time. This is definitely one of those situations where it's like this should be an easy one to think about. But from like a side perspective, I don't really have any opinion on this. It's a Thursday night game, and I'm expecting it to honestly just be ugly.
Yeah, it always feels like Thursday night games are like the last couple of years have just been like the crazy, these make zero sense types of games. I have another stat here. In the last 20, Dallas is 16-4 against the Giants, and they've won the last 6 in a row.
They own them.
With that being said, the Giants will probably steal this tonight. The Cowboys need this win, though. They're coming off. I think they need. I think the Cowboys will, in reality, win this football game. But come Sunday, it wouldn't surprise me if the Giants somehow pulled this off.
Yeah,
I just think that this is like the 1 point. They do. But if there was ever a time for them to get out of this slump against the Cowboys, it's the way that the Cowboys are currently playing football. They're not playing good football right now.
Nobody is.
It's kind of wild. It feels like nobody's playing well this year.
Yeah, nobody is. I think probably the big how the big factor in this game is just health in general. Their rookie corner, who's been playing like pretty much above expectation, playing really well, he's out tonight. Adoree Jackson's out tonight. That doesn't help you at all when you're facing Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and I think Jalen Tolbert's coming on a little bit. You have Brandon Cooks, Jake Ferguson. That just like doesn't help you in any way, shape, or form. So I definitely expect the Cowboys to win this game. I look at it more of like when they played the Browns, for example. Like the Cowboys, when they go out, like I said, when they play playoff teams, it's definitely up in the air if they're going to win the game or not. I think when they're playing a perennial bad team, and I'm not going to get tricked into like what Danny Dimes did last week and Malik Neighbors, how he's looked through the first like 2 weeks. I definitely think it's a part of their game plan tonight to like, that's their only weapon. Like, like I'm living with anybody else on that Giants defense. I mean, that Giants offense beating me. And I'm my main thought is like, okay, like let's not have Malik Neighbors have 7 catches for 100 yards and touchdown.
Yeah. That is a very valid point. The Cowboys do normally take care of business against teams that they are better than. I will say, I think it's going to be a big bounce back game from CeeDee Lamb tonight. He was pretty quiet last week against the Ravens. And then Malik Neighbors right now is must see TV. I don't know if it's going to be like that tonight, but his last 2 games have been phenomenal. But again, I don't really expect that same thing to happen tonight against this Cowboys defense. I think they're playing for not for the season or anything. I think they'll be fine, but they haven't been playing great football thus far. And I think that the best way for them to get out of that is play a team that you absolutely owned. Yeah. I told you, I don't think that this is for the season or anything, but I think that if there was ever a team that the Cowboys needed a get right game against, it's probably the Giants.
No, you're right. And I mean, yeah, like good for them, but whatever. I just think that this game is, listen, I'm not going to give away anything, but I will say that definitely one of my picks
is in $1 million picks
is definitely going to be a CeeDee Lamb touchdown. Like I think that's a mortal lock. But that's the only thing that I'm feeling from anything in this game. And I'm just going to sit back and root for a CeeDee Lamb touchdown. If that hits, I'll be hyped.
Yeah. I have something in my $1 million picks from this game as well. So I'll save it for the end when we go over everything.
So there's honestly the games. I mean, every week the games are bad because the NFL sucks. No, I'm just kidding. But this week the games are a little interesting. And the first one that I feel like we should talk about is Denver at New York. The line is 7.5. The Jets are 7.5 point favorites, and the over under is at 39.5. Again, I think Garrett Wilson will probably be in hell this game, matched up against Pat Surtain. He's been legitimately locking people down, showing why he's the best corner in the NFL. And I feel like 7.5 points for the Jets right now in a defensive battle is just a little too much. I think that they're able to keep this game within 7.
Are you taking last week's win for the Broncos too heavy into account for this game? They were playing a Bucs team that was severely banged up.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Fair enough. I don't know. I don't want to put too much stock into that game from last week. I thought Bo Nix had his moments. I thought he looked better than he did in the previous weeks. I think this Jets defense is better than the defenses that he faced last week. On the flip side of it, I do think that Broncos defense is frisky, and if you take away Pat Surtain, or if you take away Garrett Wilson with Pat Surtain, this offense gets pretty one-dimensional, I think.
Yeah, it's exactly. And I'm looking at the over-under. The total's 39.5. So you're like, that's already not a lot of points to begin with, and they're asking the Jets to win by a touchdown. It just seems like a lot of points in a spot like this. I expect both of these defense. I feel like this game is just going to be ugly, and that's really what it comes down to. And when you said, like, are you overreacting to like the Bo Nix win last week? No, like I'm underreacting almost to the Jets win versus the Patriots. That's what I'm underreacting to. I feel like we'll see the Jets be a little bit more normal this week, closer to what we saw the first 2 weeks of the season compared to what we saw them against the Patriots.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a very fair point. It's up to 7.5. Yeah, the better line is like it looks like more love is going on the over, but I don't know, like I think I'm right there with you. I think 39 might be too many points in this game.
Yeah, I think so too. But I just think that game's a little interesting just because obviously Peyton's coaching his ass off. He always does. And it's just one of those, like, remember when the Broncos last season went into Buffalo and they were like 9.5 point favorites over them. And it was just like, they're going to win this game outright. I'm not going to say that they're going to win this game outright, but I definitely like them to keep this game within 7.5 points, within a touchdown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I like that as well. I like the under more in this game.
Oh, yeah.
But I think this game could get very ugly.
The next one that I want to talk about, and I just want to get your reaction and just talk about it. Bengals at Carolina. The Bengals are 4.5 point favorites on the road, and the total is 47.5. This is a 1:00 game. The Bengals are 0-3. The Panthers are 1-2. Talk me through it.
Andy Dalton revenge game.
Yeah.
He looked great last week against a bad Raiders team. I do think the Raiders defense is better than the Bengals defense. With that being said, I think we might get a shootout. I think we might get another shootout. Okay. I'm not going to lie to you. I think 47.5 is too low. Okay. I think that the Panthers have some injuries on their defensive line. They lost their best player 2 weeks ago, I believe. But my original thought was, if the Bengals don't cover this spread, I'm no longer betting on them. I'm no longer associating myself with them. They need to win this football game more than they need air, I think.
No doubt.
And if you start out 0-4, I mean, your season's pretty much done after 0-2. The Bengals are one of the few teams that have actually turned it around. But if you start out 0-4 and your fourth loss is to the Panthers, excuse me, you're in for a rough year. And I don't know realistically, I don't know what the Bengals can do to turn this around, because they've just looked so bad on defense. If a rookie quarterback is going out there and putting up 38 on you, I can't even imagine what Andy Dalton's going to go do.
That's crazy. That was the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life.
That was a Bill Simmons soundbite for you.
Man, the rest of these games is just like, I don't know. I'm just going to skip over some, and if you want to go back to them, we can. Next one is the Sunday night game. Buffalo Bills at Baltimore. The Ravens are 2.5 point favorites. The over-under is 46.5. My first instinct of this game is that the over-under of this is just incredibly too low. 46.5. I feel like both of these teams can put up points, and the Ravens love to let teams put points up on them. And I think that the Ravens are also able to match the points that are put up against them. They might lose, but I like the factor that they could both score.
My initial thought looking at this is, I think the Buffalo Bills, and we said this earlier, I think the Buffalo Bills are the best team in the NFL right now. I understand that this game is in Baltimore, but I don't understand how the Bills are 2.5 point underdogs in this situation.
I think it should be a pick 'em.
Yeah, I do. I think it should be a much closer line. I think it's disrespectful to the Bills, who have been playing great football. We saw the Ravens, but then again, I guess like the Ravens have been right there in all of these games. But still, the Bills have been the most complete team, I think, on both sides of the ball. But I think this is probably going to be like the best. I think this is probably going to be the best game this weekend,
I mean, it has. I mean, yeah, it has to
It's
be.
a potential AFC Championship matchup in Baltimore. Ravens finally have some momentum coming off a win. Bills have just been steamrolling everybody. I mean, this is what you dream about.
No, definitely. Any feel on this game? Like anything that you like in particular? Any team to win, or what do you think?
I mean, I told you already. I think that this is extremely disrespectful for the Buffalo Bills. So if they're giving me 2.5 points for Buffalo and the way that they're playing, and I'll be taking the Bills here.
Fair. Next game of note, and this is the one that's been sticking out to me the most, is the Minnesota Vikings at Green Bay. They're 3-point underdogs. Minnesota is. Over under sits at 43.5. I don't have an opinion on the over under, but it just feels like they're absolutely begging you to take Minnesota +3.
Yeah, I agree. The undefeated team, and I don't think Jordan Love's playing either. I was looking into this, and it looks like he's going to be a game time decision. But
oh, really? I'm hearing opposite. I'm hearing opposite on my end.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm hearing that he's playing on my end.
You think that's why the line's what it is?
Yeah, he's playing. I heard that he's playing football this week.
Okay. That makes me actually love the Vikings.
Okay.
I think if Malik Willis was playing, I'd like the Packers even more.
That's ridiculous. That's crazy.
I know. It makes no sense, but if Jordan Love is playing, I'm taking the Vikings. If he's not, I'm taking the fighting Malik Willis's. So I just think this is going to be a who can outsmart who on between the Vikings defense and the Green Bay Packers offense. Flores has been doing a phenomenal job. LaFleur has been doing a phenomenal job with Malik Willis, and building that offense around a guy that, quite frankly, people gave up on and didn't think that he should have even been in the league anymore. But if Jordan Love is playing, I don't know. I think there's still going to be some rust after not playing for 2 weeks. And I can't say that I would want to come back and face a Brian Flores defense as Jordan Love, like if I'm Jordan Love in my first game back.
Yeah. I think the injury's fine. He only missed a few weeks. Right after it was diagnosed, it was like, okay, it's way less than what we thought it was. So I'm not really worried about the injury. He went through a full pregame warm up last week, looked completely fine. I think that he's obviously maybe not 110%, but I think he's close enough to being where he needs to be to play. Also, something sneaky about this game as well. The Green Bay defense obviously gave up 34 points to the Eagles week 1 on that terrible field. Since then, they gave up 10 points to the Colts and 14 points to the Titans.
Two bad offenses.
Two bad offenses for sure, but I think that's definitely something. I mean, we saw what the Eagles did the last week. They couldn't even move the football until Saquon broke a big run. So it's definitely something. I think that we're closer to them not letting up 34 points than them letting up 3 points, essentially. They're somewhere in the middle of that. I think that this Green Bay defense is a little bit more sneaky than people think it is. I'm also just going to fade the Vikings. I mean, the Vikings aren't going to start off 4-0. I'm happy for Sam Darnold, but ultimately he's going to regress to the means. He's not that guy. I think Brian Flores also great story, really great DC, but at some point, their talent that they have, they've been getting 5 sacks a game. I think that the Packers offensive line is a lot better than the offensive lines that they've been facing over the last few weeks. And I just really am looking for the Vikings in a letdown spot, them +3 on the road at Green Bay. I feel like everybody and their mother is going to be on the Vikings this weekend. And I just think Green Bay, even with Jordan Love, if he's hurt, which I don't think he's as hurt as people think they are, I just think it's a good spot, more of a letdown spot for the Vikings than a love it bet for the Green Bay Packers.
Do you think Sam Darnold is going to go out there and see ghosts in Green Bay?
I don't think that it's that bad. I just don't think that Sam Darnold is a perennial MVP candidate. And I think we're going to, at some point, throughout the course of the season see him, like I said, regress to the means. Maybe not fully, but like not what he's doing currently. What he's doing currently is playing way above expectation. And as of a note as well, they faced the Giants week 1, which everybody knows the Giants suck. Yep. Week 2, they played the 49ers, which is a completely depleted 49ers team. You can't even look at them the same. They lost George Kittle.
Super Bowl hangover.
They lost Debo. Like, we can read off no CMC, read off the list. And then they beat the Texans, and the Texans have one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL currently. Like I said, the last two weeks, they've the 49ers and the Texans let out 5 sacks to this Minnesota Vikings team. I'm just looking for like a crash to earth moment for the Vikings. I don't think that they're going to start off 4-0.
Another thing that I wanted to bring up about this is, if a guy's going to play, can you just like fucking say it if you're a coach? Like, yeah, Jordan Love's going to play. He's been looking good in practice, and we think he's going to play. Rather than like...
They did.
I looked it up right before this, and I could not find anything. All I saw was like he was listed as questionable, and they were going to be we're going to give him up until game time to decide.
Yeah, they are, but they pretty much said like Jordan Love is willing not to play at 100%. That's what they said. They've been saying that since last week.
But last week, why didn't they just like? Why wouldn't they?
I think he's more trending to play than not play at all.
Okay,
is what I'm getting at.
Okay, that's fair. It's just annoying. Like, if you know that your guy's gonna play, like, I don't know. Are you gonna drastically, like? I feel like if you're a defensive coordinator, you still have to come in there with a plan, regardless of who is in at quarterback. And especially if a guy's like teeter-tottering on the verge of like, is he gonna play? Is he not? I still feel like you have to be prepared for both of those scenarios. So I don't know. Just like, is it that much of a competitive advantage if you're the Packers?
I think so. I think saying that you're playing Malik Willis compared to Jordan Love might be one of the biggest competitive advantages in football. Like, you're preparing for you're preparing for like the fucking triple option essentially, and RPO offense, compared to them spreading it out 4 wides and letting Jordan Love like absolutely rip it around the yard. So yeah, I do think it's like a completely different prep.
But Malik Willis has been threw it around a little bit more last week.
Okay.
Obviously not compared to Jordan Love, but like I still feel like the prep going into the week is still as significant to go in and prep for Malik Willis. Like, it's still an NFL quarterback is how I'm looking at it. Like, you still have to go in there and be prepared. Obviously, I'm not saying that I'm obviously not saying that Malik Willis is the same quarterback as Jordan Love. I'm just thinking about it in terms of, okay, we still have to go in there and prepare for an NFL quarterback, for a good for a good football team.
The pedigree of a Jordan Love, which preseason everybody was like, the Packers are going to win Packers are going to the Super Bowl. Packers win the NFC. Jordan Love could win the MVP. Like, this team's really scary. Like, on offense, blah blah blah. This, that, and the third. This team's completely different. If Malik Willis, they've had a good run. Like, congrats for Malik Willis. He's won 2 back-to-back games. That's more of a product than LaFleur than Malik Willis. But yeah, having Jordan Love on the field, who everybody really respects, everybody thinks that he's a potential MVP candidate one day. Like, yeah, I think that it's a major difference preparing for Malik Willis than Jordan Love.
I don't know if I'm not. No,
that's
no,
crazy.
I'm not.
I feel like this is a crazy take.
No, I'm not saying that, like, preparing for, like, I don't think you're going to go into it and prepare like at 90% of intensity because you're playing. That's more so what I'm saying. Like, I still think you have to go into it at 100% preparation, 100% intensity. To go up. That's what I'm trying. Like, that's what I'm trying to get at.
But they're going to do that. Yes, they're going to do that regardless. But yes, it's a massive competitive advantage if the entire week you're prepping for Malik Willis and then Sunday rolls around and Jordan Love, number 10, is behind center. Yes, I think it's a massive competitive edge.
What if you're preparing for Jordan Love and then Malik Willis sneaks under center?
Well, then, like, I don't know. But I think that you can, like, live with that. Like, I'm living with Malik Willis, like, under center 10 times out of 10. Before these last 2 weeks, Malik Willis was the laughing stock of the NFL. So I'm not going to sit here and, like, say anything about Malik Willis. Like, I'm happy for him. He seems like a good dude. Congrats on winning back-to-back games. But, like, that's it for him pretty much. Daddy's back.
Okay, great. I can't wait for this to get literally dissected in the comments and just get roasted.
For what?
I'll have to wear it.
For what you just said? Yeah, you're thinking about it now. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah, because I don't think people are going to think about it how I'm thinking about it.
No, they're not.
Next game, they're not. They're all bots.
Next game, New Orleans Saints at Atlanta. Atlanta Falcons should feel really good about where they're at. They play a New Orleans Saints team, which I think fell back to earth last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. I really like the Falcons in this spot. I really do. I just think that the version of the New Orleans Saints that we saw last week against the Eagles is the version of the New Orleans Saints that we're going to see for the remainder of the season. Like, it was cool the first 2 weeks of the year, but like I said, same shit like I said with Sam Darnold. Derek Carr's not a perennial MVP candidate, and he's going to crash back down to earth. And that's exactly what happened to him last week against the Eagles.
They have Derek Carr.
Don't
forget who's over there.
Who said that?
CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah. I hate him.
He was roasting him, though.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I think the Falcons should actually be more than a 1.5 point favorite here. I think they're trending in a better direction than New Orleans. I just think they're a better football team at the end of the day. I think the Saints team that we saw against the Eagles will be a little better than that. But I don't think we're going to keep seeing them put up 45 points a game.
No, definitely. All right, I'm going to do one more game here. And that's the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Indianapolis Colts. Steelers are 1.5 point favorites on the road. The over-under's at 39.5. Real quick, I thought the Steelers were going to be absolutely terrible this year. I still think they are. I don't know how you're a Steelers fan and feel good about what you've seen as an on-field product through the first 3 weeks of the season. Yes, their defense is playing at an elite level, but is what their defense doing any way, shape, or form sustainable? I don't think so. I think it's a big ask week in and week out to ask your defense to pretty much not allow them to let up more than 10 points. Like, hey, like, if you guys let up more than 10 points, we're probably going to lose this football game. I think from an offensive side, like looking at what the Steelers have done on an offense from the offensive side of the football, they're terrible. People have been gassing up Justin Fields. Why? They don't look good. They don't do anything well. Their receiving core is bad. Their running game's not that good. I guess I'm not seeing it with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that they're in a better position that from like a vibes perspective that Justin Fields is quarterback than Russ, but like, it's not like Justin has been lighting the world on fire. So I just think that that's something to monitor. I feel like it's a big ask week in and week out to ask your defense to not let up. They let up like 9 points. They're like averaging like 9 points a game. That's just a big ask, I feel like.
Absolutely. I'm trying to find this here. I can't find the exact number of points per game, but you're probably right. It is probably right around there. From a defensive perspective, they're giving up 230 yards or 229 yards per game. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree with you. The vibes on offense probably feel better because it seems like they have a quarterback who can like move it a little bit better than what we've seen from the Steelers offense in the last few years. But averaging like 1 touchdown a game is not going to get it done against the good teams. They're like I said, I think I said this in the last pod, but the back half of their schedule, I think, is much more difficult. I think they're going to be facing much better quarterbacks. And that's when we'll realistically be able to see what the Steelers team is made of. I think they're going to win this weekend again against the Colts. I think Anthony Richardson's just going to be in hell. I don't think it's a good matchup for him by any means. And I don't think that the Colts defense is anything to bat an eye at either. So this is another game that just fits the mold for the way that the Steelers like to play. It's our defense gives up 10 points, our offense scores 14, and we win by 4. So
yeah, I really disagree. I think I'm essentially going against the teams who I don't think are that good, who are undefeated right now. And are they going to start off the season 0-4 or 4-0? Like, I don't think so. Like, I think that's crazy. I think that's crazy. I think as of right now, I think if Anthony Richardson can limit the turnovers, I think that they have an opportunity to be in this game. But ultimately, like, I like their skill players better. I like Anthony Richardson better. I like Jonathan Taylor to run the football. And like you said, they fit this mold. They don't fit the mold, essentially. This might be a mold like more generated for the Steelers, but like Steelers offense is really bad. And if the Colts can run the ball effectively, which I think that they can, like, I think that they should be able to win this game. They're at home. Anthony Richardson has had a tough first few weeks, but like, even if it gets into a situation where the Steelers are putting up points, the Colts can put points up. Like, I know they can. So I'm just going against the teams who are starting off undefeated. I don't think that like after this week, the Vikings and the Steelers are going to be 4-0. So I'm just going to fade those teams.
That's fair. I think it's more realistic with the Vikings, but I've already tried betting against the Steelers and I lost. So I'm just not going to do that anymore. I haven't liked what I've seen from this Colts team since week 1. I think Anthony Richardson is going to be good. And I've continued to say this and I will continue to say it, but I just think this is a really bad matchup for him if they end up getting behind and he has to start throwing the football around.
But they don't. What I'm getting
I agree with your Jonathan Taylor point. I wanted to touch on that. I wanted to touch on that because I think you make a very good point with the Jonathan Taylor piece of this. If the Colts can hold on to the football and Jonathan Taylor can get hot, I do think that they can win if that is what ends up happening.
But they'll never be behind to a point. Nobody against the Steelers will ever be behind to a point where it's like, fuck, we really need to air it out. Like, you're going to max be down to the Steelers 3 points. So I don't think that is as big of an issue is what I'm getting at is like, the Steelers are never going to be in a position where they're blowing a team away. So, and then like if they get up 14-0, it's like, oh shit, like we're going to have to air the ball out. The Steelers will never be up 14-0 against anybody.
Yeah. I mean,
they just don't have the infrastructure.
That is a very valid point. However, we've seen them continuously just shut down these offenses. And I just don't think Anthony Richardson is there yet to the point where he's not going to do something stupid.
We'll see.
I hope you're wrong. I am equally rooting for the Steelers' downfall as much as you, but
and then
I thought the Chargers were going to pull it off last week, and we got Easton Stick in there.
Yeah, it was over when that happened. Then we have a double header Monday night game. We'll obviously touch on that at a later date. I think we go into $100,000 picks, $1 million picks, whatever the fuck this is called. Really workshopping the name, obviously. And I will give my first one that I said already. CeeDee Lamb touchdown. I will be using my FanDuel boost on this because they're allowing it. So I'm acting like that I have this and this too because we can do whatever we want. So plus 112. I'm putting $150K on a CeeDee Lamb touchdown tonight against the Giants. He's very due. He has not scored yet this season.
Yeah, when you said that you had CeeDee Lamb touchdown, I chuckled because I also have that, but I parlayed it with Cowboys money line. 17 grand to win. I know. 17 grand to win $21,201.66. Pays plus 124.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I feel like the Cowboys need to take care of business, and CeeDee Lamb, he needs to get it going. He's just hasn't looked good. And brother, you got paid all that money. I'm sure he's hungry to prove everybody that he's worth that money.
And didn't you say that the Giants secondary was dealing with some injuries?
Yeah, their rookie corner who's been playing really well, he's out, and Adoree Jackson, which, listen, I don't love Adoree Jackson by any stretch of the imagination, but ultimately he's a starting quarter for them, and he's out as well.
Yeah, that sounds like a big game for CeeDee Lamb, if you ask me.
It does. The next,
okay. Go ahead.
The next pick that I have is a Marvin Harrison Jr. touchdown at plus 100. I'm going to put $150,000 on this as well. The reasoning for this is every single number one wide receiver against the Commanders is absolutely eaten. They have nobody in that secondary. I don't think anybody in that secondary can check Marv in any way, shape, or form. So I'm just betting on the trend that number one wide receivers always torch the Commanders.
Until they prove they can stop a number one wide receiver, I think that's a great bet. I would love that from a fantasy perspective. I have Marvin Harrison, and I need a big game.
Brother.
I need a big game out of him. My second one is actually from the game where we just talked about. I've got the Steelers -1.5 parlayed with the Chiefs money line, $42,000 to win, 59,222 at plus 141.
Who did the Chiefs play?
Chargers without Justin Herbert and Derwin James.
What do you mean without Justin Herbert? He's playing.
I saw that he was listed as doubtful.
Oh, I'm seeing things different over here on my end.
Well, you need to start sharing with me who your contacts are. But either way, I still think the Chiefs will still
Rank.
win. I still think the Chiefs will win. They'll get some nonsense call down the line, and we know how that goes.
No, that's fair.
There'll be a Ladd McConkey offensive pass interference that brings back a touchdown.
The next pick that I have is
no
Packers.
Comment on that?
No. Is Packers -3 at -104. I'm putting $100,000 on this. I laid out my reasoning for taking the Packers earlier today. I'm just fading teams who they started the season extremely hot, but let's kind of start to get realistic about who these teams are. I think the Vikings obviously put themselves in a position to be a playoff team. But as of right now in that division, if the Bears start to get hot, they can be a playoff team. The Lions can be a playoff team, and the Packers have put themselves in a position to be a playoff team. It's still a gauntlet. It's a first divisional matchup for them, and I think the Packers come out on top.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking that game, and then that game and then the Ravens Bills game. I think are going to be two really good games this weekend that I'm really looking forward to. My last pick that I have is the Monday night game. I might just be a Monday night guy. I got my James Cook touchdown last week. I'm taking the Titans money line.
Nice.
As long as Skylar Thompson is playing quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, I think they're going to lose every football game.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
The Tennessee defensive line is tough, and Skylar Thompson was literally getting scraped up off the ground every other play last week.
Oh wow,
so
they're plus 100. I'm on that with you.
Yeah, so I've got $26,000 to win $26,000 on that bad boy.
I'm putting $100K on it.
Will Levis might only be able to beat the Miami Dolphins, so I'm just gonna ride that trend until it dies. I've seen him play the Dolphins once, and he's 1-0.
Nice. All right. Next, I have Colts money line plus 106. I'm putting $100,000 on it. I already went over my reasoning for them. I'm fading those two teams this week, and another team that I didn't think would be good to start the year, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I see them dropping this one to the Colts winning this over the Steelers. Sorry.
I think we might have to just start adding in the spread of whoever's playing the Jags.
See,
until they make a change.
Yeah, but that's why I'm not doing it, because for some reason this week the Jags will beat the Texans. I'm not. Yeah. They're just a team that I have zero interest in betting on at all.
Yeah, they're off. They're on my
Or
list.
against.
I told you. They're on my. I'm not betting on or against them. Them and the Browns.
Okay. I have one more
So,
pick here.
okay, and then tell me where you're currently at with like your overall
I don't
dollar
know.
amount.
I'll have that next episode, so I'm sorry.
Okay.
The next one that I have is I'm so sure of this bet. I'm gonna go Colts money line, Green Bay money line, $20,000 to win $48,000, 305.26. Like I said, I'm fading. I don't think anybody in the world would be sitting here being like, and if they did, they're a liar. It'd be like the Colts and the fucking the Steelers and the Vikings are going to be like two of the four last remaining undefeated teams. Somebody's O is going to not be there after this week, and I think that both of these teams lose.
Hey, Steelers Vikings is a potential Super Bowl matchup.
As of right now, it is, yes.
No, I do think one of those teams loses. I think you're probably right. I need to see the ticket though. Once you place that bet,
It'll be in our Discord.
All right, keep an eye out. I still have to put my there might be a couple other bets that I dive into for this Thursday night game, but as of right now, I might just stick with Cowboys and CeeDee Lamb. I think you're right. I think he's so due.
Stupid due.
Yep.
Due.
White clouds.